So I'm calling the meeting of the Commission on City Plan Tuesday, July 16th, 2024 to order. We have taken attendance and we do have a quorum. First matter will be approval of minutes from the special meeting of June 26th. Really not much happened there.
Oh, it would be helpful if I knew who was at the meeting, because it doesn't show on the screen who's there from the commission.
Good. So Jean can hear who's here, think around.
Okay, so Jason Corder, Nick Fortson, Dean Mason, James Cordo, Kathy Warzika, and myself, Frank Hanford, are all present. And for the moment, it will be, did we say it was going to be seated? Jason is seated as an alternate. Gives us 5 at this point. So, do we
Okay, thank you.
minutes from the special meeting?
Yes.
Does somebody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 26th meeting.
Motion by Dean Nathan. Do we have a second?
This is
Second
Nathan.
by James Cordo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Okay. The minutes are accepted. Any communications?
Yeah, just today, I opened the mail just a few minutes ago and we got 2 referrals from the town of Preston. Zoning text amendment, there's an application by Christopher Capitolis, I think that's how it's pronounced. Amend section 9.2 of their special exceptions of the planned industrial district, adding boat sales and adding boat sales to special exception requirements. We just received this. Their public hearing is on July 23rd. And then there is another text amendment regarding driveways, driveway aprons, road openings, addressing fees, safety, slope, site distance, drainage, permitting bonding, and other matters. And that's another change to zoning regulations. I can pass them out here.
Do we need to take any action on
No,
that?
unless you want to. Kathy, do you want to say anything about them at all?
Well, the first one is just to allow boats in the industrial boat sales in the industrial district, and the second one is just to kind of clean up our permit process for driveways and driveway permits. So that's basically all that is.
But we don't need to.
No, unless you want.
All right, so there's no action. That's all we have for any kind of correspondence.
Okay, so under new business, we have a couple of public hearings and the site plan application. The first public hearing is one that had been tabled from the June 26th meeting. This is special permit 2405, 105 Stonington Road. It's a request for a special permit for a proposed 3-phase development for a cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility, including installation of 2,100 square feet of modular construction trailers for temporary use, a proposed 9,600 square foot building, and 2 greenhouses with associated site improvements such as a driveway, fencing, septic system, landscaping, parking area, and stormwater management. Property of 105 Stonington Road LLC, application of Nautilus Botanicals LLC, Assessor's Map 112, Block 1, Lot 7, Zone GC. So can we get a motion to open the public hearing? And before we go,
I'm going to recuse myself. I'm going to sit in the audience.
okay, so Kathy has recused herself, so we'll seat Nick and we'll have a full 5-person contingent for this particular matter. So that being said, can we have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make, go ahead. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion by Dean Nason to open. Second? Second by James Corto. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the public hearing is open. Deanna, do you want to make any
So we're gonna
discussion at this point, or just turn it over to the
I
applicant?
think just turn it over to the applicant for them to do their presentation first. I do have a lot of things to add into the record.
Okay, so if the applicant is here, if you want to identify yourself for the record, and then you can speak.
Hi, my name is Jack McCartney. I'm with CLA Engineers and I'm representing Nautilus Botanicals, the applicant. And I have Connie DeBover here with me, and who is she's with Merida Capital Holdings, and then Luis Vega. I believe he's in the crowd there. He's the CEO of Nautilus Botanicals. And we also have Fred Marzik, the architect, here in the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we requested that the project be tabled at the last meeting because we hadn't received comments from the town of Preston yet. And we had a few other outstanding comments from the Uncas Health Department, the DOT, and the building official. All of those have now been addressed at this time. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. You guys see this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so the site is located at 105 Stonington Road, which is Route 2, and it's zoned general commercial. The property consists of 6 acres and is located on the south side of Route 2. That's adjacent to the Preston town line. There are wetlands located in the rear of the site. There's no work proposed within 100 feet in the 100-foot upland review area, and all the proposed development's going to be down gradient of the wetlands. This project proposes a cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility, which falls under the advanced manufacturing requirements within the general commercial district and requires a special permit. The permanent building proposed for the facility is a 9,600 square foot, 1-story building. We initially wanted to build this right away and not do this in phases. But unfortunately, the transformer required to power the building is on 18-month back order, and NPU can't get it. So to work around this, we've decided to take a phased approach. Phase 1 consists of the construction of a water quality basin, a landscape buffer, 2 paved access drives, a 15,000 square foot fenced in outdoor cultivation area, a temporary modular building, and a paved parking lot with a turnaround area for emergency vehicles. The temporary modular building would be used as office space, an employee area, post-harvest operations, which consist of drying and curing the plants, and a manufacturing area for packaging the product. And in the 15,000 square foot outdoor cultivation area, there'll be above ground plantings. So phase 2 consists of the permanent building being installed. Excuse me. The 9,600 square foot permanent building being installed, along with a parking lot with 22 parking spaces and 3 loading areas. The permanent building will provide expanded space for employees, post-harvest operations, and manufacturing. And in addition, the permanent building will provide space for a shipping and receiving area. So phase 3 is for future improvements, consisting of 2 greenhouses that are going to be located in the fenced-in cultivation area. One of the greenhouses is proposed to be 10,000 square feet, while the other is 4,400 square feet. And if demand dictates the need for more harvest, throughout the year. They'll end up building those. The manufacturing facility will operate 5 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The cultivation facility will operate 7 days a week from 24 hours a day. And the plan is to initially in phase 1 have 3 to 6 employees and increase that to 10 to 15 employees in phase 2. And the state has some pretty strict rules for securing the facility. So around the cultivation area and the greenhouses where all the growing is going to be done, there's going to be a 12-foot high chain link fence with privacy slats in it. And additionally, there'll be cameras set up around the site that will be filming at all times. So we initially had the building and the facility a lot closer to the road, but we got comments from Preston and they were concerned about the landscape buffer. And initially we requested to have the 50-foot landscape buffer reduced. But we were able to move the building back and we ended up just putting a lot more evergreen trees in along here. In addition to that, the building is about 15 feet higher than the elevation of Stonington Road. So with the landscape buffer, the setback, and the elevation difference, you should not be able to see this building from the street. And then phase 1, we plan on adding a dumpster enclosure. We're going to do that before the final plans are submitted. And the lot split maps and legal description will be filed prior to the Mylars being filed. And yeah, that's all I have. And I think Fred or Connie want to say a little bit too. I can keep my screen shared.
Sure, I'm happy to jump in. Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet all of you. I wanted to just I'll give you a little bit more background. I think we submitted can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We did submit a fairly detailed narrative about our proposal and the operations in our application. And happy to answer questions that you might have on that narrative. But there were a few things I was hoping to share and address with the board. First, in terms of background, as Jack mentioned, Luis Vega is our social equity applicant and our CEO. He's in the audience in person. And I would just like to point out he has extensive experience in hemp cultivation. He was the sole Latino hemp farmer in Connecticut when the Farm Bill was approved. And then he also has experience on the hemp manufacturing side. So certainly brings a lot to our operations. And then just my firm, Merida, we have cultivation and manufacturing operations in 5 other states, being New York, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Missouri. So I think between the 2 of us, we certainly have a lot of experience in the industry. I wanted to pivot really quickly to Preston. They had some questions about odor and waste. I thought maybe you, as the board, might have similar questions. So I thought I would address those early on, but again, happy to answer any additional questions you might have. In terms of odor, our experience has shown that outdoor grows tend to be a lot less, I'll call it smell sensitive, and a lot less odor, right, than indoor grows. And a large part of that is because the smell dissipates into the air, right? So for example, when Luis was growing on his hemp farm, you literally could not smell anything unless you were standing right amongst the plants. So, as you're walking up to the farm, yes, you could see the plants, but I, certainly could not smell anything. And that would be similar for cannabis. That being said, that if there's in the unlikely event that there is an odor issue, I think we could mitigate that with several options. One, we could use autoflowers, which we all are already doing. There are low odor strains that we could certainly grow. And then thirdly, there's I call planting of other pungent flora. So think rosemary or lavender, right? Natural flowers that have already a very strong smell, and that'll help mitigate some of the potential odor. Second, I think they had some questions about waste, more specifically wastewater. So when you think about our grow operations, we do plan to use Connecticut approved organic agricultural fertilizers and processes. There should be no runoff into the groundwater because we're growing in containers and we'll have a weed barrier underneath. And, in case for some reason that also does not work, we can reclaim the wastewater through collection, filtration, and reuse. So again, really being conservative and in terms of conservative and I guess aware of what fertilizers and we're using, and then also how that could impact the groundwater in our area and surrounding areas. And that is all. I am available for questions, and I'll turn it over to Fred.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, I'm sorry. Jack, if you could put up the, there you go, thank you. Name is Fred Mosick, President, Fred Mosick Associates Architects. I've been hired to do the conceptual design phase of this project. It's 2 units, if you will. Phase 1 is the modular unit to get them started while they're getting the building and that associated background, site, power, and those things going. That modular building is composed of 3 roughly 11 by 64-foot sections with a low slope truss roof. Looks like from the initial drawings, it's going to be about 16 to 24 inches above grade. So I've shown a handicap ramp for a main entry and a secondary exit. As we develop the physical plant requirements, the separations and the code compliancy issues, we can address some of the walls and whatnot in a better format. But the outer skin will be a vertical metal siding, and it'll have, when you look at the elevations, it'll have sort of a flat overhang, a box overhang with some accent colors, a few windows. It's a fairly straightforward, modular, non-descriptive type building. The metal building will be a pretty much off the rack, steel frame, pre-engineered metal facility. We're looking at eave heights right now at roughly 16 feet. And we've been talking about clear span. That may change, but that's what's shown in the plan. You can see from the plan, there are 3 large areas that talk about manufacturing and drying and working the medium properly. And then there's typical office space, so small lunchroom, security space, entry, restrooms, and that sort of thing for the workers inside of the building. Concrete floor, steel frame, typical metal roof, probably corrugated shapes, and colors that'll go with it. Exit doors, those type of things which normally go into this simplistic type structure. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them and provide some more background if needed.
this building's going up after the electrical is in.
Correct.
When was that ordered?
We sent in the request form to Rob Harris, and then we're in the final phases of our design process. So as soon as Rob gets that information, I believe he'll be able to tell us how long it will take for the transformer to arrive. You're talking about for phase 2, right?
Yeah, I guess the first phase you're saying is the temporary building, correct?
Correct. So for phase 1, for the temporary service, that is already in place. We have the request, we sent the request form to NPU and the design. So and we know that they have that transformer in stock. And then, like I said, for phase 2, we're finishing up the design work this week, and that should help us determine how long it will be to get the transformer we need.
Did I understand somebody to say that the cultivation buildings only go in if the outdoor cultivation doesn't meet supply?
No, that's not correct. So the way we think about our cultivation, it's a capacity issue, right? So we need at least 15,000 square feet to meet the regulatory requirements. But what I was saying, or I think what Jack was alluding to, was that, you know, the two greenhouses are roughly 14,000 square feet. So, you know, if market conditions are still favorable like they are now, then we certainly would bring both of those online. And right now, our plan is to build out both greenhouses and probably scale back our outdoor cultivation.
Anybody else have questions? Okay.
I have a whole bunch of stuff, but I think you should open it to the public first, and then I'll read in Preston's letter as part of the record.
So that being said, are there anyone in the public who wants to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who wants to speak in favor of the application? Last time, anybody in the public wants to speak in favor of the application? Okay, hearing no responses, are there any members of the public who want to speak in opposition to the application? Sir, could you please identify yourself for the record and
Sure. Should come up close.
come on up?
Come on, sure. I'm Jerry Gavarik. I'm a dairy farmer, 2 properties down from the site.
Jerry, could you spell your name for our?
Grabarek. I'm also a selectman in the town of Preston. I'm really not in opposition to this thing. I just want a few questions answered. Okay, my first question answered is the assessor's map lists 7.7 acres on this property at 105 Stillington Road. The application says it's going to be 6.04 acres. All right. So which one's right?
So I'm gonna let them answer this, but I have an answer.
Okay, well, it was a logical question because I looked it up and it's what I do.
So,
Do you want that to answer or do you want?
Yeah, she can answer.
no, they can answer. It's right there.
Jack, I take it this would be something up your alley?
Yep, so the site is currently, yeah, like you said, over 7 acres, but they are dividing it into 2 sites, and Nautilus is buying this half of the site, and the site is going to remain parcel B. So they're taking about 6 acres off of it.
Does that answer your question, Jerry?
Yes, it answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I have more. I'm a farmer. I know what that HRC soil type is, the same soil type that's at that site. I have it on my farm. As far as I'm concerned, it's not even suitable for cow pasture. That's how bad it is for site planning. I mean, really it is. It's not even suitable to graze cows on because first of all, you got rocks. Second of all, you got rock outcrops. And third of all, you got very shallow depth of bedrock. So it's real droughty, so it doesn't grow grass. I'm kind of wondering how this site is going to work.
None of the plantings are going to be in the ground. They're all going to be in above ground planters.
I realize that, but still, you got to do a lot of excavation. You're going to put an on-site septic system on the site?
Yep, we got the septic approved by the health department already. We found a location up here. There is a good amount of ledge on the site, but we have a few stone retaining walls proposed around the site. Here, one here, and one right in front of the parking lot. So they'll probably need to do some blasting for it, but yeah.
That really doesn't answer my question because the site is not suitable for a septic system. That kind of land is just not suitable. I'm saying you should probably hook it into the Norwich system. I think that was recommended by the town of Preston already, in the planning and zoning comments.
We went out to the site and we did test pits with the health department there with us, and they confirmed that this area where we have the septic system is suitable to hold a septic system. And
Okay,
the
I'll take your word for it.
I have it, I have Uncas Health.
You have
District's
Uncas Health District that it passed.
Approval, yes, I do.
Was passed as septic, okay,
I have it.
I can't argue with that.
Do you want to hear a response from the Uncas Health District?
No. That myself, if I want. I was wondering if the plant, just for a jolly, I took a ride up Bromley Street today, which is right there. And to me, you look off to the left on Bromley Street, it's like the Swiss Alps. You know, that's what the landscape is. It's a little hill, a big hill. And I'm wondering, does the planning commission ever do a site walk at any property before they approve any of these things?
We've done them in the past.
Well, I'm recommending you do a site walk of this property before you approve this application. I don't think that's totally within bounds. I'm on a wetlands commission in town. We always do site walks when people submit applications. It's just, you know, if there's any controversy at all, we just go. Okay, and then the next thing is he failed to address the pesticide plan that the Preston asked for. The applicant just kind of, whatever the response was, they kind of just ignored it. Because I know that they're gonna, if they grow marijuana and they get a bug infestation, they're gonna be using pesticides. There's no way. How they're gonna eat the leaves? Not gonna happen. All right. Next is odor control. When I saw that they were gonna plant some lavender and peppermint, and basil and rosemary, I almost fell on the floor laughing. I thought that was so ridiculous because those plants bloom at certain times of the year. The rest of the time, they're not going to have any odor control. It's not going to be, you know, unless they're going to stagger the plantings. And that's not in the plan. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm concerned about the neighbors right there. There are Preston neighbors and there's more Norwich neighbors. You people ought to be concerned for the Norwich neighbors, not the Preston neighbors. And the last, as far as the sidewalk is concerned, if we go on the sidewalk, please wear boots that you can tuck your jeans in, because the only thing that can survive up on that site is deer and deer ticks. Okay, that's my last comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else who wants to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else who wants to speak in opposition to the application? Last time, anyone else wants to speak in opposition?
I'd like to read in a letter, Frank, from the town of Preston, which it's a municipal referral, so it automatically goes over because it's abutting the town line. It's within 500 feet. I also have the letter that I passed out to you earlier. I can read that, but I also have the response that came from them, which they kind of went through, but I have the letter with their response answers that if you wanted me to read the questions and then the responses, I can do that if you prefer. It will take a little longer. It's not up on the screen for you to read, so it's up to you.
My thought would be to read the questions and then the responses.
Okay.
So we know what's going on.
All right, so June 26, 2024, this was submitted through we did not receive the letter to the city until today from the town of Preston. But I had seen it on the 10th because it had gone in through our portal through CLA, who responded, just so you know. But this is the letter, Town of Preston, Town Offices, June 26, 2024, to the Commission on the City Planner, Chairman Manfredi and Commission members. The Preston Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed the application for special permit 2405-105 Stonington Road, special permit for proposed cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility, and note that the application will have intermunicipal impact on the town of Preston. The following are the concerns of the Preston Planning and Zoning Commission. Concern regarding statement made about consistency with the Norwich Plan of Conservation and Development promote livability. Is it appropriate for the commission to consider donations to meet this goal? And then the response in red, which is the response from Nautilus, is as part of our license, we are required to submit a social equity plan, which details how we plan to partner with various community organizations. So far, we have partnered with Global City Norwich, LEAD, and Connecticut Pardon to provide financial contributions and volunteers for various programs, i.e. beautification, pardoning, grants, event sponsorships, as well as educational sessions. According to Preston's Plan of Conservation Development, the western section of Route 2 is an entry to Preston from Norwich. There is a great deal of tourist traffic driving into either casinos. Creating a positive image along this route is critical. The application indicates that a 9,600 square foot metal industrial building will be constructed approximately 71 feet from the front of the property line. Preston has been attempting to improve the appearance of Route 2 corridor. The commission has changed their regulations to allow for commercial uses that meet design standards. As new businesses are created along the corridor, it is the intent to create a better aesthetic value within the area. According to section 7763 of the Norwich zoning regulations, impact on the probable future character of the neighborhood in which the use is located. Given this directly abutting the property that Preston is within the neighborhood of the project, the commission notes construction of a metal industrial building is not consistent with future development along Route 2 in the town of Preston. The response from, in this case, was from CLA, says the building has been moved back. The closest corner of the building to the front property line is 109 feet. Given the use of a metal building, which the town objects to, it is critical that the buffer not be reduced from 50 to 20 feet, that some upright evergreens be added to the buffer. The response, the buffer has been increased across the frontage of the site. The building and parking lot have been moved back to provide 50 feet of non-development across the frontage. The sightline requirements for DOT do not allow us to plant trees in the area required for sightline. This is a safety issue. We have added a substantial number of evergreen plants behind the sightlines. As the building will sit 16 feet in elevation above the grade of the road, and with the additional evergreen buffer, the building will not be visible from the road. Though there was no information regarding any waste management, grow operations generate waste that must be managed properly. Some of the most common environmental issues are due to improper, inadequate documentation of cannabis waste stream and disposal. This response comes from Nautilus. We anticipate that most of the cannabis waste generated at our facility will be unusable plant material, recalled returned products, and other items quarantined as not suitable for sale. Company procedures will provide for a safe and compliant disposal as required by regulator, the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection. Storage of cannabis waste. Placing waste products into quarantine is a critical part of our procedure for ensuring that waste is never accidentally sold or otherwise misplaced during destruction or disposal. We will store, secure, lock, and manage all cannabis waste in accordance with Connecticut DEP's regulations, Department of Consumer Protection's regulations. As part of these procedures, we will institute policies for the segregation of cannabis waste awaiting disposal on expired, damaged, deteriorated, mislabeled, contaminated, recalled, or container breached cannabis. We will store these waste products in a designated, separated, locked area within our vault. Rendering cannabis waste unusable. Prior to the disposal and leaving our facility, staff will render cannabis plant material, cannabis seeds, cannabis plants, and cannabis products unrecognizable and unusable using grinding and mixing methods compliant with regulations promulgated from the Connecticut DCP. Staff will shred cannabis plant material, including plants, immature plants, leaves, stems, etc., designated as waste using a mechanical or electronic grinder in specified waste disposal zones under video surveillance. After destruction, staff will render resulting waste product unrecognizable by mixing the cannabis waste such that the resultant mixture is at least 50% non-cannabis post-consumer waste by volume. We will mix ground cannabis byproducts, scrap cannabis, and cannabis-infused products with non-consumable solid waste to create cannabis waste. The resultant mixture will ensure that all cannabis waste is completely unusable and beyond recovery. If approved for cannabis waste to be disposed of as a compost, feedstock, or another organic waste method, e.g. anaerobic digester, we will mix the cannabis waste with composable mixed waste, such as food waste, yard waste, vegetable-based grease or oils, or other waste compliant with regulations promulgated by the Connecticut DCP. If waste is to be disposed of in a landfill or other disposal method, example, an incinerator, we will mix the cannabis waste with non-composable mixed waste such as paper, cardboard, plastic, soil, or other waste compliant with regulations promulgated by Connecticut DCP. Staff will place the cannabis waste in uniformly opaque, unmarked garbage bags and dispose of waste in a secure dumpster, which will remain locked until pickup by our waste disposal company. Video surveillance equipment will monitor dumpsters and waste receptacles 24/7. To transport cannabis waste to final disposal locations, we will contract with the waste disposal company licensed to operate in Connecticut and arrange a regular pickup schedule to prevent accumulation of waste at our facility, which could present both sanitation and security risks. Next item. There is no information regarding air quality impacts and odors. VOCs are emitted during the growth and during the processing of cannabis, which could impact Preston. No evidence has been presented that proves that there will be no odor from the facility beyond their property lines. The narrative does note that odor will not extend beyond their property, but no proof has been provided. Cannabis growth, both indoors and outdoors, releases odors through the growing cycle, but can be especially strong during flowering and subsequent processing. Based on research, it is critical that the applicant address the issue of odor control beyond the statement made in the narrative. This is an issue that cannot be overlooked as odor has impacted many communities throughout the country with much supporting evidence. The response from Nautilus. We believe it is easier to cover the odor because there is more air for the smell to diffuse. Other tactics to minimize smell include the following. Auto flowers. There's generally no odor until the plant reaches the flowering stage. Therefore, cannabis plants that flower for a shorter time, like auto flowers, are a better choice. Focus on specific terpenes or low odor strains. We can focus on strains with terpene profiles that are less musky and skunky, such as limonene, which is citrusy, pinene, piney grassy, or possibly terpenoline, woody floral. We would also go low order strains such as White Widow, BC Mango, Durban Point, Poison, Jack Herer, Northern Lights, Super Silver Haze, and Master Kush. Plant other pungent flora. Strong smelling plants like lavender, peppermint, basil, or rosemary would help offset the scent of cannabis plants. A fertigation plan, including types of organic nutrients to be used, should be provided. What pesticides and herbicides will be used? In Connecticut, there is a self-police testing for contaminants, including microtoxins, heavy metals, and pesticides. Having such a plan will provide any potential contaminants. Pesticides allow for use in organic production must be evaluated by the National Organic Standards Board for their essentiality, impacts to humans, and environmental health. Without a pesticide plan, one is unable to determine impacts on the environment. We'll use an advanced automated nutrient delivery system, again, this is Nautilus, to fertigate our cannabis crops using only nutrients that have been certified as organic by the Organic Material Review Institute or other similar standard. The core of the system will reside in our fertigation room, and the manifold system will serve the solutions to each room. All plants will be fed organic nutrients and water through a top drip style irrigation system with a spray emitter for each plant site. The timing of irrigation is automated and controlled by various automated environmental controls. The nutrient solution for fertigation are pre-mixed in concentration form for uptake into the system. Comment by Preston. Processes often use solvents to extract essential oils that contain medicinal and psychoactive compounds. These solvents pose potential public health impacts and may be subject to existing air pollution control rules. Will solvents be used in processing at the facility? If so, information should be provided regarding the use of solvents. The response. Our extraction process will be solventless, cold extraction, which employs the use of flash frozen plant material, but no chemicals for extraction. The cold extraction process involves removing the fresh frozen flower from the freezer and immediately submerging and agitating the bud in a giant vat of ice water. This allows the THC and terpene-packed trichome heads to be separated, filtered, and isolated from the rest of the bud. The near freezing temperatures makes the trichomes brittle and snap off when agitated in a wash machine. Once the wash is complete, the separated trichomes are then sifted through a series of fine sieves and mesh bags to trap the cold hash and let the water out. Next, the resulting trichomes are collected and freeze-dried. This freeze-dried hash will be used in formulations to create manufactured products such as vape pens, cartridges, and concentrates. The equipment necessary for this process includes a hash washing system, a standalone vessel or trichome separator with multiple vessels, an ice maker, a water filtration system, one freeze dryer, and a rosin press. Preston's comment. In some states, it's not permitted to have discharge of wastewater from growing or processing facilities into septic system. Given the wastewater contaminants and possible impact on the town of Preston, which is served by on-site wells, the wastewater should be disturbed to a public sanitary sewer. The response. Our first priority remains reducing wastewater and stormwater runoff. To that end, we will minimize the amount of wastewater produced through a highly efficient drip irrigation system with careful monitoring of soil moisture, evaporation potential, and vegetative needs. A minimum of 80% of remaining wastewater will be reclaimed through collection, filtration, and reuse. In addition, we will utilize the following best practices to ensure the protection of water quality and prevention of runoff. Filter water through a highly efficient carbon filtration system to reduce contaminants in lieu of reverse osmosis, which produces excessive water brine discharge. We'll incorporate the best site management practices for building and facilities that prevent runoff and contamination in the local watershed, including vegetation management for stormwater runoff and pollution prevention through organic landscaping, bioswales, and on-site rain garden for storm infiltration. Ensure that flooring has smooth, durable, non-absorbent floor surfaces that are easily cleaned and are properly sloped towards sanitary floor drains and collection pipes with no puddling, as well as integral floor-to-wall cove base. Ensure that the irrigation system is functionally efficient through routine inspections, repairs, upgrades through the system. Limit the use of petroleum-based cleaning products, acids, phosphates, or other similar agents or solvents that may produce liquid discharge runoff. Side stream waste material when possible by collecting high concentrates of waste at the source and set it aside for disposal to reduce the treatments needed on the effluent stream. Identify, reduce, and dispose of hazardous waste properly, see below. Utilize organic agricultural inputs and an integrated pest management system to eliminate the use of chemical pest control agents within the facility and our wastewater system. Comment for Preston. Appears blasting will be necessary to develop the site. The applicant should acquire the services of hydrogeologists familiar with rock blasting to prepare a pre and post blasting plan, including the structural inspection of the outside and inside of building structures and foundations that are located within 1,500-foot radius of the blasting. Additionally, the survey should include identifying the location of any drinking water wells within 1,500-foot radius. The wells should be tested before any blasting, during the blasting, and following the blasting activity, and a yield check done. Recommended by the hydrologist, the survey may extend beyond the 1,500-foot radius if the geologic conditions warrant an extended survey area. See DEP's guidance for municipal officials regarding the impacts of blasting. Any pre-blast survey should be reviewed by Preston's, fire chief, who is willing to work with the Norwich Fire Marshal to review the plan. The response from CLA. Sheet 11 already contains a detailed description of the pre-survey and rock removal process in accordance with all regulations. The survey must be reviewed by the Norwich Fire Marshal, and we have added the Preston's Fire Chief to the notes. Response, that's it. Responses were from CLA and Nautilus Botanicals. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have a lot more stuff to add in, but I'm not going to read everything. All these items have been available on the website and on our portal, as well as on the website in the remote meeting folder. But I do have things that came in today and things like that. Would you like to hear from that now? Okay. So I'm just going to go through a few things. I'm not going to go too far back because the things that were at the previous meeting, you've had an opportunity, they've been up on the site to read. And again, they'll be on the exhibit list. So I'm not going to go through that. I have a new memo today that I want to go over. But I first want to just check off a few things. The zoning enforcement officer responded today. I'm just going to go through it. There was some outstanding comments from staff, and I wanted to get those on the record for you. Hold on. Okay. Building official, accessibility issues have mostly been addressed. However, my previous comments would still apply for all of the other codes and will need to be provided on the building permit plan set. IBC, IFC, IPC, IMC, NEC, IECC, and any other applicable codes will need to be addressed. So Fred, are you understanding of all that?
I understand the requirements of the code to take care of the building. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. NPU's comments, which, I think that are, I think can clarify or maybe need further clarification based on, what was shared earlier by, Connie. And this is from Rob Harris today. MPU is fully committed to supporting development and new business in town. The parcel located at 105 Stonington Road is within an area that is part of a planned system upgrade that MPU has planned to be upgraded in the 3 to 5 year range. The property owner of 105 Stonington Road is requesting a new 1200 amp 277 480 service that is at the extreme end of the distribution system that was originally designed for residential use. Within the 3 to 5 year time frame, NPU can fully support this. If the customer requires an upgrade prior to 3 to 5 years, then there'll be a cost to expedite the upgrade to the system to a point that it can support the new business before that time frame. This is in addition to the transformer cost. In the meantime, NPU can support the temporary or phase 1 service as planned without system upgrades. Does Fred or Connie, do you need to address anything that was said in here?
No. Thank you, though.
The zoning enforcement officer responded, the engineer has addressed my June 11th comments. And then my memo today, I'd actually like to read that so you can go over it. I don't know if Dan has it up. Make it. Thank you. So, let me skip down to number 1. The applicant has submitted a very detailed narrative, which you should have an opportunity to have read. We got the proof of mailing, mailings that was in time. The applicant submitted written responses to the special permit criteria to assist the commission to review the merits of the application with respect to the 13 factors identified. It was the documentation used the wrong number, starting with number 7, but that's fine. The applicant should be prepared to discuss their responses to all 13 criteria at the public hearing. And staff suggests that the commission specifically review items 3 and 12. And these were the ones I can tell you that I felt that they substantially answered the questions, except for 3 and 12 were the areas that I think that you need to think about. 3 is the design elements of the proposed development, and this was also brought up by Preston. It must be attractive and suitable in relation to site characteristics, the style of other buildings in the immediate area, and the existing and probable future character of the neighborhood in which the use is to be located. So I want you to think about that in the presentation, and I think they showed you the drawings and spoke about that. And then the appropriate consideration shall be given to the protection, preservation, or enhancement of natural, scenic, historic, or unique resources, including, where appropriate, the use of the conservation restrictions to protect and permanently preserve natural, scenic, historic, or unique features which enhance the character or environment of the area. And that was more about the site's topography and the ledge and those kind of things. So, and the scenic nature of that lot, property. So I don't know if you want to, I think it would be fair to have the applicant respond back to these, if that's okay, Chairman.
Yeah.
What is your response to those 2 concerns?
Yeah, I just think that we're providing the landscape buffer along the road, and there's going to be a pretty substantial portion of the site that's still undeveloped in the back, and yeah.
How would you describe the character of the neighborhood right now?
Character of the neighborhood. Well, in the Norwich area, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's super industrial. There is some industrial spaces down here. There's a apartment building across the street. There's a small restaurant, I think, right across the street here. But I believe that the landscape buffer provided by, that we provide for the site will, kind of do the site justice, and it'll give it, a natural look to it, kind of, if you're looking at it from the road.
Jack, can you confirm that you were originally asking for a reduction in the buffer? And I think you said in your presentation earlier that you do not need that reduction any longer, correct?
Yep, we pulled the landscape buffer back, and I think in the regulations it says you just need 50 feet of undeveloped area as long as there's 12 feet of plantings, and we have more than enough. We have more than 12 feet here. I think it's about 20 feet here, but here it's, I think, closer to 60 feet. So.
And then I'll just continue going on. July 1st, the Uncas Health District did issue an approval for the septic system. I have a copy of that. It was approved with modifications and provisions noted. Prior to the septic permit being issued, the leaching area must be prepared with the required amount of select fill and be inspected by this office. After the fill is placed in compact, it must be perk test prior to installation of the system. And prior to the start of construction, the buildings and system are to be staked by a licensed surveyor. So that has been an approval with those stipulations. So there was a copy, I received a copy of a denial letter from Connecticut DOT dated June 21st. Was received by the city on June 26th. And although the commission needs to know the DOT issues their permit after local approval, the applicant should be prepared to discuss whether they were able to accommodate the 7 items noted in the state's review.
Yes, we addressed all 7 of the the DOT's comments, and we've resubmitted. So we're just waiting to get approval before they can send their approval.
Number 6, I've already read the chairman's letter from Preston. And number 7 has been addressed. The building official did provide comments after I wrote this memo. There is a first cut of their property, and I checked with the clerk's office today. That still has not been filed yet. Do you know when that's going to be filed? And my recommendation would be for any decision on this application would be that that has to be filed prior to any kind of approval on the land records of this application, because that is tied to it. Because again, it was brought up earlier that the acreage is different and everything, and the dimensions. So new deeds and everything would need to be filed. Has that been done?
I was told that it was by the owner, but I will definitely confirm. We were told this about a month ago or over a month ago when we filed our application that they had filed for the separation, and we're just waiting for, I guess, the review and approval, but I will.
So I can, zoning officer was not available when I was looking today to see if he has the Mylar to sign, but that does need to get taken care of. That's a priority.
Of course.
Let me see, due to the 50-foot landscape buffer is not an issue anymore as far as asking for that reduction. The dumpster and recycling enclosure is still not shown on sheet 4 for phase 1 for in the process and pickup about that. Can we talk about that of why there's not a dumpster or recycling enclosure shown?
I actually just accidentally turned it off. I will include that on the final plan submittal.
So then, excuse me, what? Oh yeah, can you talk about the pickup process and how that's going to work with that? If it's fenced in, or do they get a security? How does that work, Connie? Can you explain that?
Sure. Yes. I mean, we would basically have, weekly service, and then it's really just, we have access controls and surveillance. So we would just, we have a scheduled pickup. And so we would just know when to expect I call it the waste management company. And then we would just need to have them sign in every time and verify their ID. And then we'd be able to, have them come in and take the waste out.
And I think that's it. I would just say there would be a bond. There's a bond amount that was agreed upon of $54,690. That is the total amount that needs to be posted. Otherwise, I do have the standard conditions of approval. But I think you should talk about, once the public hearing is closed, talk about any other conditions besides what's on the screen here that you might want to add in. I think that's it for me. I think everything else was older and, like I said, there was new drawings they showed today, all of these. So if you could just waive the reading of the exhibit list, and there is 41 items. I mean, is that
We
okay
have a
with you?
motion to waive the reading of the exhibit list. Nick making a motion to waive. You have a second? Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the exhibit list, we can waive the reading.
Let's do that. Okay.
Anything else from staff?
Dan, can you think of anything else? No, not really. Conditions, but do you think you need to talk about some of the other things if you wanted any other conditions for? Like I said, it's public hearing, you haven't closed it to the public to make more comments, but if you do a site walk, you would want to keep the public hearing open so that the public can participate and go on that, but could be no comments. And
How much
yeah.
time do we have?
So we just opened last month, we tabled it, we received it on, hold on, I can go back to the actual date of the special permit act. It was received on 5/28, which means that we had 65 days to hold a public hearing, which were within that time frame, 35 days to close it. So we have 35 days to close the public hearing once it's opened. And then 65 days to make a decision, but there's also those 65 days that the applicant give us time in between, but you just opened it tonight. So, that's up to you if
We
you
have
want to.
35 days to close the public hearing
Yep.
from today.
And our next meeting is
65
when?
days from today to
30 days from today is our meeting. So that's up to you, but I know that I'm not speaking on behalf of the applicant, but they have been, 25 days, but they have been anxious to get this moving along because of their growing season and construction season. Not that I'm just putting that on the record. That does,
All right, so I guess we can leave the public hearing open at the moment, subject to discussions and subject to those, anybody on the commission who want to have a sidewalk. And if so, address that issue tonight. Try to schedule it if we're going to have. You making a motion to have a sidewalk?
I'd make a motion that we have a site walk of this site within the allotted time frame.
Does anybody second that motion? The second from Nick. Any discussion about that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of setting up a sidewalk?
Aye.
so you need to say, so was it unanimous or was it?
Jason, Nick, in favor. So that's 3. Dean opposed. I'm opposed also, but carries. So
Okay,
so
so,
ask you if you could try to schedule a sidewalk, hopefully before our next
Yep.
meeting.
we'd like to do that. Can we do that now? I think we should set that now, so if the
I think
public
that's
is
a good
aware.
idea.
Okay, so I'm just writing some notes down, so it was against, was okay, but it passed. So let's look at times. Do you want to do it after work type of thing or during the day? What is the preference? We,
I think given the nature of the site, personally, my feeling would be it should be during the day sometime,
okay.
not later.
Lunchtime,
Well,
Can you do lunchtime? Can you guys all do lunchtime? So. What are you looking at? What day of the week is best?
just about any day for me, Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday.
Yeah.
Do you want to do something next week or the week after? What are you preferring?
Next week's fine.
So Tuesday, that's the 23rd. I will not be able to be there, so it can't be Tuesdays and Tuesday, or what about Wednesday, the 24th. Is you guys available at noon on Wednesday? Oh, I can't do Wednesday, the 24th. I have something there. I'm sorry. Thursday, the 25th.
Good by me. Okay.
I could probably do Thursday and time.
Yeah. Okay, so, the applicant needs to be aware of if they're, you know, that there will be the site walk is open to the public. There will be no testimony, no comments during the public hearing, and that we read into the record. And what ends up happening is at the next meeting that you can talk about the things that you saw or questions that you had. So do you want to make a motion to continue the public hearing to your what's the next meeting date?
So we're with the sidewalk now, that date. Time,
August 20th, so you'll have a site walk while the public hearing is open, and then they will actually discuss this on your continue the public hearing to August 20th.
Is the August 20th meeting within our time frames? Yes.
Yes.
So, I guess we need a motion then to continue the public hearing to our next regular meeting.
To continue the public hearing for our next meeting, August 20th.
This is Jason, I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dean, second by Jason. Any hearing none, all in favor? Aye. So we'll continue the public hearing till August 20th.
But there will
And
be a site
sidewalk
walk
on
July,
25th.
and that'll
at
be,
noon.
and that will be considered a special meeting, just so you know, there'll be a special meeting agenda for that with the instructions on that, and we will meet. Is there a place to park, do you know, in that area,
Couldn't tell you. Anybody?
apartment complex?
I can just tell you, I would
I'm
park
sorry.
across the street at the apartment building and walk.
Let's quiet down. Everybody's talking at once. Connie, could you please state that again, please?
Sure, sorry. Just from experience, I would park at the apartment building across the street and then walk or run across the street.
Are you gonna be able to attend that day as well?
I should be able to.
Okay, so July 25th, Thursday noon, find your parking.
okay.
All right, so is there any other business regarding this application to come before the commission tonight?
I have a question.
Well, you already made the motion to continue public hearing, you can't really talk about it right now.
That's it. Hold your question. Hold it
Yep.
until the next meeting.
Hold it.
So that being said, this public hearing is adjourned for the evening, continued to August 20th, subject to a site walk on July 25th. That being said, the next matter is special permit number, put my glasses on. 24-06, 57 Lafayette Street. It's a special permit request for a proposed child care center, including site improvements associated with the use of the Piney Sprouts Playhouse, property of Lafayette Dental Group Properties LLC, Assessors Map 84, Block 1, Lot 77, Zone NC. That being said,
We have to bring Kathy back in. or-
yeah, at this point, Kathy's back in, seated as a regular member, and Jason will be seated, and Nick will be out. Sorry, Nick. So we do have a quorum. It's for this, Jason, Dean, Kathy, myself, and Jim. So that being said, can we get a motion to open the public hearing on 57 Lafayette Street?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kathy to open a public hearing,
Second.
second by Dean. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to a public hearing? No. Okay, so the public hearing is open. Is the applicant here? Identify yourself for the record.
With Stephanie Davis,
And, what is your relation to the applicant in this case?
I am the applicant, I
Okay.
am the owner of Tiny Sprouts Playhouse.
Okay, good, thank you.
How much want
Do
to explain?
you want to tell us?
Yes.
Do you have anybody here with you?
I do, I actually have my architect here this evening.
Okay, and do you want him to speak, or would you like to speak, or both of you?
I would love to just introduce myself and how I ended up in front of you guys, and then I would love to have my architect come up and kind of answer any questions that I may not be able to cover.
Sure. Go ahead.
So again, my name is Stephanie Davis, and I am the owner of Tiny Sprouts Playhouse. I know that you guys read this, I just wanted to read it, so if there were any questions you guys could kind of ask me, and I could kind of clarify anything for you. Again, thank you for having me in front of you this evening. Our outdoor proposals for Tiny Sprouts Playhouse. The driveway area at Tiny Sprouts Playhouse will be a one-way route with a clearly marked entrance and exit featuring a do not enter sign and traffic arrows on the ground to indicate the flow of traffic, accommodating only a single car traffic to ensure safe and smooth entry and exit. Constructed with durable asphalt to withstand heavy use in various weather conditions, the driveway will undergo regular maintenance checks to repair any wear and tear, ensuring safety at all times. Additionally, a curb cut will be installed to allow traffic to easily transition over the public sidewalk. The walkway will lead from the drop-off area to the front, which will be relocated to the front of the building facing the main road. Made of concrete for durability, the walkway will be well lit with energy efficient LED lights for visibility during early morning and late afternoon. Furthermore, the walkway around the daycare will be cleared out and relayed to ensure safety, facilitating safe evacuation routes for our classrooms. Clear directional signs and reflective traffic signs such as stop signs and directional arrows will be installed to guide traffic flow and minimize confusion. The entrance sign will be repurposed and updated with our new daycare logo, with additional information signs indicating drop-off and pickup area. Visitor parking and staff parking all will be compliant with our local regulations. The playground will be located at the back of the parking lot, equipped with age-appropriate toys and featuring 2 separate play areas with turf laid after removing the existing concrete. Students will go outside to the playground areas twice a day, weather permitting, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. The playground will be enclosed with a 4 to 5 foot tall metal fence in area facing the driveway and a 6 foot tall privacy fence along the back of the property to separate us from our neighbors, with 2 gates to provide us access from all of our classrooms. To enhance safety, wooden bollards will be installed in front of the playground to prevent vehicles from reaching the play area. The parking area will have 17 spaces, including 1 designated for handicap spot with clearly marked spaces and directional arrows for smooth traffic flow. The lot will be restriped and painted to maintain clear visibility of all markings. Regular patrols and security cameras will be ensured. They will be used to ensure the safety of vehicles and individuals. Each classroom will have a direct exit to the outside, providing easy access to outdoor play areas and ensuring quick evacuation in case of emergencies, with doors equipped with childproof locks and alarms. Next would be our daycare operations proposal. Tiny Sprouts Playhouse will operate from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, with extended care hours being offered from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. for up to 8 students, and on Saturday and Sunday from 6:30 to 3 p.m. for up to 8 students. The extended hours and weekends will not begin until June of 2025, and will not be implemented unless we have enough enrollment during those time slots. All students and staff will be off of the property by 9:30 p.m. at the latest. Our daycare will employ 7 full-time teachers and 7 teachers' aides or floaters, and an experienced office administrator to manage daily operations and ensure compliance with state regulations. The facility will house 6 classrooms, specifically designed to cater to different age groups. 2 classrooms will be for infants, 2 classrooms for 1-year-olds, and 2 classrooms for 2-year-olds. Each classroom will accommodate up to 8 students, maintaining a low teacher-to-student ratio of 1:4, ensuring individualization, attention, and care. Staff will be available to assist with the drop-offs and pickups process during a smooth and efficient transition from vehicles to our building, so parents will not need to exit their vehicles. Students who are turning 3 in the fall will have priority enrollment at our sister site, which is Babbling Bambinos, which is my other site that I currently own and I run in Galesbury, Connecticut. So our students that will be aging out at the age of 3, who usually go to preschool, they will have first opportunity to go to our sister site for their preschool. The environment in each classroom will be bright and welcoming, with age-appropriate toys, learning materials, and furniture to encourage small group interactions and foster social skills and peer learning. Tiny Sprouts Playhouse will follow the Norwich school system for closings and delays, ensuring consistency and reliability for parents. Additionally, we will be closed for major holidays to allow families and staff to observe and celebrate their special dates. Inside our daycare. Inside Tiny Sprouts Playhouse, each classroom will be equipped with 2 sinks, 1 for hand washing and 1 for food preparation. Drop-down changing tables will be installed to save space with overhead storage to hold diapers and wipes. Each classroom will also have cubbies where students' belongings will be stored. The infant rooms, designed for students under 1 year old, will feature 8 cribs, rocking chairs, age-appropriate toys, and high chairs. The 1-year-old and 2-year-old rooms will have toddler cots for napping. The kitchenette area will be equipped for preparing snacks and heating up lunches, and will include a dishwasher to sanitize any dirty items left behind on Friday. The facility will undergo a complete renovation, including demolition and the construction of new walls to form our new classroom. The ceiling grid will be reconstructed to follow code, and the water heater system will be consolidated to 1 unit, with the other being closed off. Norwich Public Utilities will be contacted to have the gas meters consolidated onto 1 system. The kitchenette will include a fridge, microwave, dishwasher, and possibly a washer dryer area. A staff break area will be located behind the ADA compliant bathroom. We will also be installing an ADT security system into each one of our classrooms and cameras that will lead to the outdoors, which will sound if the doors are opened, and the cameras will be placed in each room. We will also have cameras outside in our playground and our parking lot area. Adding a daycare in Norwich brings significant benefit to the community. It will create approximately 19 new jobs, including positions for teachers, aides, administrative staff. It will also boost local employment. With affordable childcare, up to 56 families will be able to return to work, contributing to the local economy and increasing productivity. This facility will support nearby businesses such as Bacchus Hospital and surrounding offices by providing reliable childcare options for their employees. Studies show that access to quality daycare can increase workforce participation by up to 10%, enhancing economic stability for our families. Overall, the daycare will play a crucial role in supporting the growth of and the well-being of the city of Norwich. One other thing I'd like to add to that is that I am going to be working with NFA on a program to work with their students that are enrolled there who are interested in early childhood education, where I would be able to have the students come in and work with us at the center. They work closely with the kids. They get hours put in towards any of the programs in the ECE that they would be interested in furthering their education. So I would like to at this time call
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Sharpless. I'm the architect on this project. Stephanie did an incredible job giving you an overview of the project. I don't know what I'm gonna say. The only thing is I'm gonna address some comments from the staff, one being drainage. One thing that we're doing, we're not changing the drainage whatsoever. What we're doing actually that's good was we're reducing the impervious surface. We do have two catch basins that's gonna be maintained at the site. We're minimizing the impervious surface in the back of the building. I think one of the comments was that they wanted us to pour concrete to whole 10 foot. We're only doing it for the walking surface for the kids to get them out because we want to minimize the concrete and the water runoff on that side. We're relocating the existing sign. We haven't finalized the design yet because we're working on the lot, but we're showing the location of it and it's an existing sign that we're just relocating. We're providing a conduit for some kind of indirect lighting. It won't be lit from the inside. Some of the other things, the building itself, we're gutting the whole building out to be able to accommodate for the classrooms and the needs for the daycare itself. Trying to make it as easy as possible for drop off and pick up without interfering with the parking from the staff or people that are visiting. But everything is existing. The only thing is we're upgrading everything. Even the front part where the drop off and pickup is presently, it's all concrete and paved, and there's no apron for people to pull in and pull out. This would make it a lot safer. It would minimize how many cars are pulling in and pulling out for the parking lot, and it's a controlled with a controlled status. I'm more than happy to answer any of the questions I may still have as a staff. We still got them. We're in a very, very tight time frame. That's why we're kind of rushed to get this in. We're working with the state, and I believe tomorrow maybe even the deadline. So we gotta address them. That's why we rushed to get everything in. And some of the comments from the staff came in kind of late because of it. It's not yet. So anything questions you might have?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
As far as traffic flow, you see peak times where traffic would be backing up onto Lafayette, like Dunkin' Donuts on West Town Street?
Absolutely not. For the reason being, the size of the facility itself. We're talking about minimum, and the drop-offs are at different times. Every parent has different time drop-offs. And I will let Stephanie talk more about that. So no, I don't see any problem with that whatsoever.
Can you speak to the existing neighbors, who they are? I see some here marked. Just who are the existing neighbors?
The building that you see, it says existing building, those are attorneys, I believe. And on the other side is the dentist office.
Sorry, the other side is who?
A dentist office, we have the name, I'm not talking about the name of it.
Okay.
Is it Lafayette Dental?
In regards to the traffic, so our drop-off time is by 9 a.m. We open again at 6:30 a.m., but everybody obviously does not show up at 6:30. Usually we have like a steady flow between 6:30 and 9, depending on what time the parents have to be to work. I don't imagine that there would be a backup of traffic only because of the way that we have it set up where my staff is meeting families outside at their cars. Parents will have their things ready to take the students out the car, bring them right in so that they could pull off. Parents would not have any need to get out of their vehicle.
How wide is the driveway there?
16 feet.
16.
Yeah, we made it, try to make it as comfortable as possible because when they pull in, you want to have access on both sides of the car,
Yeah.
depending where they have their seat for the kids.
And people is there parking spaces for people to, if they're gonna drop off their kids, they wanna bring some stuff in, they can, is there enough for?
We have, like I said, 17 parking spaces in the existing parking lot. We have a staff of what, 8 at the time maximum?
During the day, it would be 8, at full capacity if we had to. It could be anywhere near maybe 12.
Okay, just in case there is that problem, people could pull in and get
Absolutely, yes.
to the drive,
yes.
the park.
And the reason for the pickup and drop off, we would try to make it as easy as possible for parents to drop off and go without having to back out from the parking again and pulling back out again. And we can get 2 cars, possibly 3 back to back if need be within that space. Without being in the street, is what I'm saying. And if somebody wants to pull into the park, then they can still do that and park within the parking. That's why we have the walkway and the handicap ramp on this side, so they can still follow and come in the front door with the kids. The idea is though for the staff to be waiting for them when they pull up with their car. And if you look at the floor plan, the way we have the window, when they start to sit in, they can see the circulation of in and out of cars pulling in. Security is very important, so we want to make sure that anybody coming in will know they're coming in.
I don't remember, do you know if there's on-street parking on Lafayette on that side?
There's not.
There's not.
I don't believe so.
I have a question, if you don't mind. The area between the city sidewalk and the drive, that drop-off drive, what are you proposing?
Landscaping, we're gonna
Landscaping,
yes.
okay.
A very low shrubbery because of visibility.
And it'll have a curb, a
That's
Cape
gonna
Cod
separate.
berm or a asphalt curbing.
Yes,
Do you have a landscape plan?
well, we have what plans we're gonna put in, we haven't finalized yet, but we do have the plans that we're proposing. We have a schedule on the bottom of the site.
Can you pull it up again there?
Right there.
Kathy,
Right there, bottom left.
planning schedule.
Okay, but we don't know where they are.
No,
Okay.
that's a comment on the memo.
Okay, I just wanna,
Yeah.
Make sure that we have that.
Again, we don't want to put anything major because like I said, for us, visibility is very important and for the staff to be able to see kids and cars pulling in. You want that side of, visual sight when cars are pulling in. You don't want somebody coming out with a car and not being able to see them, so.
Any other questions? Anybody from the public else want to speak in favor of the application? Anyone from the public, anybody online? Anybody from the public online want to speak in favor of the application? Anybody opposed to the application? Anybody opposed to the application? Okay, hearing none, I guess we could proceed.
Sure. A lot of my comments were addressed. We got an updated site plan yesterday that they've addressed some of the comments. Some of the comments still need to be addressed. One of them was about the area between the sidewalk. We want some landscaping shown on the plan. There aren't very many areas to be landscaped. The site's developed as it is. They added some ENS notes. We need a driveway apron detail added to it. Public Works wants that.
I believe it's on C1 too.
Second page.
Somebody chill. Who might have said that? 56.
Pay attention.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
You did.
Even I heard that.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't think any of these is what the city engineer is for. But we can work with
I'd be
you.
more than happy to work with them,
Yeah.
whatever they need.
Some of my comments were about the max number of staff. You just answered that. The zoning officer had a bunch of comments that were incorporated into my original memo. Some of those have been answered. Some haven't. You didn't talk about trash, but you did add on the plan the receptacles here. The commission may want to require that that's in a corral. So it's just kind of behind a gate.
Can I
state of the plan.
respond to that? It is behind the gate, the whole thing is enclosed back
Okay.
there. And we do have a private contractor that will be taking it out also, so.
Okay. We do have, just a point of order, we do have the original copies of the mailings. And I would just, I don't want to read through all this, but if someone makes a motion to approve it, I'd ask that you include all the comments from my memo and the updated staff comments. Some of them I got right before the meeting tonight. So if you could add all city staff comments are addressed, final plan set.
Anything else?
And then I have exhibit list. Also don't want to read, I'll provide it to the clerk. Here it is on the screen. 12 items.
I'll do a motion on that one to waive the reading of the.
There is also a waiver request for a number of items. Drainage calculations, an A2 site plan, and building elevations because it's an existing building. So the commission would need to act on that waiver prior to making a decision on that.
So drainage, LK2, what was the third one?
Elevations.
Elevation.
Can I say a few words about the waivers?
Sure.
It is an existing site. As far as an A2 survey, we did provide one. It's an older one done by CLA engineers. It gives all the meets and bounds and the location of the building. As far as the drainage, we're actually improving it by minimizing the impervious surface. We're not changing the direction of the water flow or anything else. As far as the elevations, we're not doing anything on the exterior of the building other than some windows turning into doors for means of egress. So the building is as is, we're not changing that. So that's the reason we're asking for those waivers.
Wait a second now, or?
So we close the public hearing
Close
first
and do it.
before we do anything. Unless there's something else.
Just a quick question, what was there before?
I'm not sure what was there, but presently it's used as a staging for the offices that they're working on the Asylum Street Bridge.
The Sherman Street builds a construction office right now in there.
Oh, okay.
I
Before
believe
that,
there
I'm
was
not
a number
sure.
of small offices
Offices.
and a
There
dental
was a
office at
dentist
one
there
point.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, that being said, does somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Dave's making the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, so the public hearing is closed. And given the comments during the public hearing, does
I will make a motion to waive the drainage calculation, the A2 survey, and the elevations on. And the reason is because it's an existing building, basically an existing development. So it's not necessary in the A2 survey. There is one for the property, but not just.
So we've got a motion to waive the elevations, the A2 survey, and the drainage calculations.
Jason, I'll second that motion.
Second by Jason. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Okay, so those waivers have been granted. Given the waivers, does somebody want to make a motion regarding the application itself?
Just to note, suggested reasons are at the bottom of the. If someone made a motion.
Got it.
Okay.
Go, Cat.
It's like I always feel like I have to do it. I'm gonna make, I'm going to motion to approve the application with a condition that all of the planning staff and town staff comments are addressed prior to endorsement of the plan. And the reason being this application conforms to the zoning regulation section 2.3, chapter 5, and zoning regulation section 7.7. So my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jim Cordo. Any discussion?
They could have said that.
Okay, I'm not
But
doing
it's
the next
seconded as
one.
well. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. No opposition, so the application is approved with the conditions as set forth.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Okay. So moving on, we have next on the agenda is site plan application SDP 105541 Boswell Avenue. This is a site plan review for 5 two-bedroom apartments within an existing building previously used as an 11-room boarding house. The application and property of T41 Boswell Avenue LLC. This is the assessor's map 93, block 7, lot 85, zone MF. The applicant here to speak.
You don't mind if I sit over here?
Don't mind.
I'll need to make the motion.
Attorney Matt Green, for T41 Boswell Ave LLC. The applicant also, I believe, online here is my client, Ernest Cola. 41 Boswell Ave was purchased by T41 Boswell Ave LLC in April of 2021. The historic use of this property has been an 11-unit boarding house. The property F district is the desire to convert this into a 5-unit apartment house. Each unit would consist of 2 bedrooms. The exterior of the structure would not be expanded. The property has approximately 95.5 feet frontage on Boswell Avenue, and the rear of the property is accessed off of Reynolds Street. There's an existing paved compacted driveway which serves as the access to the property, and 2 others in the rear. This paved compacted area extends beyond the driveway onto the subject property. It's about 30 feet from that stone wall where you see those stairs back to the driveway access. The width of the property at the rock wall is approximately 7 feet. There was that existing walkway that you saw from the paved compacted area to the building. For access to the building, that will be removed and replaced with a new walkway that will be more appropriate. The proposal for 7 9x20 designated parking spaces along the rock wall, which leaves again another 10 feet back more from the rear of the parking space to the property line. This property is existing, and the setbacks, lot coverage, building height, etc., will not change. And there'll be no change in the footprint of the building. As such, a waiver of the following is requested: the A2 survey, bond and drainage calculations, a letter from the city engineer, and the elevation detail. The director had sent a memo number 2 out, and I just want to address a couple of the items on the memo.
I think they've got my memo number 2, so
Okay.
you can address it, but we can go through it too if
Okay,
you want to. Go
so
ahead.
number 1 there says that the building official should, I'm sorry. Number 1 talks about if any of the units are going to be handicap accessible. It's not the intent to have these units handicap accessible unless it is required. I do know that apparently more than 4 units may require a handicapped accessible unit. However, I'm a little confused by what was presented to me, because the note from the building official reference section 1107, which was actually of the 2018 International Building Codes. But there's also an exemption for what they call type A and type B units. So I could interpret that to mean that you're not required to have a handicap unit. Also in the memo, it makes reference that we have to comply with the 2022 Connecticut State Building Code, which states something different than well, it's worded differently than the 2018 IBC. Whereas the State Building Code section 1108.7.2 states a multi-story dwelling unit or sleeping unit that is not provided with elevator service not required to be a type B unit. I will tell you, I don't know what that means. It seems to me that in following with the other one, that is an exemption that you may not be required to have handicap units. It's not the intent. If we are required to have a handicap unit, we will.
Can I address that back now?
Sure.
So this afternoon, the building official at 2:58 sent me a response to, it's not the intention to have any handicap accessible unit. The applicant will defer to the commission if they require one of the parking spaces to be designated for handicap space. The applicant would like to avoid the requirements of paving as it leads to additional issues, which is counterproductive in its effort to terminate the 11-room boarding house. So what he responded back, I'd suggest consulting your architect. There are a lot of requirements for accessibility, sprinklers, fire rating, and energy codes that will need to be addressed. Building plans will be required to be stamped by an architect and shop drawings by an engineer for Connecticut general statutes, blah, blah, blah. But it's instructions with 4 or more dwelling units or sleeping units intended to be occupied as a residence. Every dwelling unit and sleeping unit intended to be occupied as a residence shall be a type B unit. But he did say there's an exception. The number of type units is permitted to be reduced in accordance with a different section, 1107.7. So I called him and said, this is very confusing to me before this meeting. And he basically said there is exemptions that you can go to the building code to get. So there's a process, but technically his understanding, or what I understood his saying, is usually anything more, 4 or more requires an accessible unit. So if you were doing 3, it's absolutely not. But since you're doing 4 or more, that it would be, but because it's an existing building and some other things, that there's a process in the building code that you can ask for those exemptions. So, so I guess that would leave it, if the commission, my thoughts on that, if I was writing this earlier, would be that if this application is for 5 units, like you're saying, if it ends up having to be handicap accessible, those things need to be addressed through, through adding whatever needs to be done to do that. So I don't think it, needs to necessarily preclude you from making a decision on it. It's just something that might be an additional expense to your client.
And the way we look at this, I'm here for site plan approval. There's the whole other aspect of going through the building code. So
Yeah.
he's gonna have to,
Yes.
my client's gonna have to meet all of the requirements of the building codes, whatever they may be. And they change all the time. So the fire codes and all of that change, and we fully understand, but for site plan. But the only concern that I would have with regard to this would be with regard to the requirement of having any paving. And we did get a variance of the paving requirement. To go through.
So that was, so from a variance standpoint, you were correct. You get the variance. But the building official and the city engineer has determined in the past, and I think that handicap spaces have to be a paved surface. So if it's required to have one, that one space has to be paved. And we do have that in multiple locations in the city where everything's gravel and that one handicap space is paved.
And if that's the case, that's the requirement, not an issue.
Okay.
Does that include walkways to the entrance of the building?
No, because this is, so let's just say that I'm answering no because I'm saying this. If the building doesn't have to be handicap accessible, you still have to have the handicap space. You still have to have the handicap space, whether or not the units are handicap accessible. So someone has to be able to come there and say that it's a mother of the person, or whatever it is, or the tent. There's still, there's not a requirement to waive the handicap space, if that makes sense. So even if the building's not handicap accessible, and we can speak to that later, but that's something that I've understand.
Yeah, and again, I would concur that, there is a requirement anywhere you go that, number of parking spaces, one of them has to be handicapped. If that's the case, and that has to be paid, it has to be paid.
And what type of service are you?
It's just right, so right now, if you've ever been there, it's very difficult.
Really difficult to.
It took me,
I think I provided.
times, around.
I didn't know there was a road back there.
It's a
A
driveway.
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I got an opinion on that today from the Bill Lee, because it shows on our assessors, if you don't, you can call up the assessors map. That it actually, on one of the drawings that I gave you, this is from the assessors map here. This is the access drive to get to behind there. If you're coming down the hill, you barely see that. It's like just between two buildings. But it's its own parcel sort of on the assessor's map. So I asked the assessor, and he said, I was able to find a map and looked at some deeds dating back to the 1800s. It's always been referenced as an alleyway with no ownership or attributed to anyone in particular. I believe it should be treated like a private street where everyone has the right to access and is responsible for the maintenance of it. So it's not being, you can kind of see it right there, Dan.
So it cuts between Boswell and Division as well as.
It is, yes, it's that little piece right there. Yeah, right there. Yep, that's it.
Comes off of the.
Yeah, but it's like literally between those two. You don't see it unless you're like right up on it.
And if you miss it, you gotta go all the way down the hill.
And go all the way around the block.
And believe me, I did.
That's why I wrote that in my memo about
Yeah.
how is it going to be identified. That's, and you wouldn't necessarily know that that's how you get to the back of that house.
Actually, I provided a deed that went back almost 100 years that showed that about having the right to.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see, because the assessor doesn't have it at all, who the ownership is,
And there are I think 2 other properties, despite not only those ones that you saw when you first came in, but then there's one all the way at the very end. And there's another one, I think, right next to us. So as you're facing our property, client's property, from the rear to the left. Yeah, so there are a couple properties that have access.
I know, we have no control, I can say, I'm so sorry.
I know. So, if we're required to have a handicap space, that's where it all started, and that's fine. But with regard to the rest of the area, and obviously, as you see what it looks like now, the idea is to gravel it. What we don't want to do is we don't want to make such great changes of paving it, because then you get into drainage and it affects other properties.
Yeah.
And it's been this way for hundreds of years, so.
It's just pretty rutted in some areas. And
Yeah. We're
Be
level.
graded and gravel.
Yeah.
You want to go through my memo? Yeah.
Yeah, so so we just talked about the access drive, which was number 2. Number 3, if you show that picture again, and you're very good at that, by the way.
Thank you. It's tough at times, but.
Yeah.
There's where those stairs are, it drops down dramatically. So along those lines, that's where the parking space would be. We're gonna put some type of guardrail, whether it be bollards or probably some type of strong guardrail, because not only from the fact of a car, you probably don't want somebody falling over that as well. So there would be some types of appropriately height guardrail.
Yep.
Can we mention, just to promote the development of the property, and I'm addressing the handicap issue. Can we make the suggestion here to try to get this thing moving without any handicap requirements?
We can't do that. That's all. They have to go through the formal if it's required by the code, they have to go through the formal code through the state. That's not something the commission
That's
has
not part of the
jurisdiction
zoning
of.
issue.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was just a confusing code, you know, it had two parts to it.
Yeah, but it's like I said, that's more of almost like a heads up of, and it was really about how you're gonna get access for the handicap, because I think your client owns the building next door, up in the back of it. I think he owns the building to the left as well, am I correct?
That I don't know.
I think he does,
Uh,
if you wanna,
Ernest, are you with us? Do you own that property next door?
you're muted.
Yes, I do own 35 Boswell. I own that
So
property.
you have created like a walkway from that back into the back of that building, because I saw it when I was back there, you created almost like a decking, am I correct?
From the 35 Boswell, yes.
Yeah, so it is possible. Was that done for the handicap accessibility into that building?
No, it was just easier because the building is close to the edge of that wall, so it was just easier to have a ramp than going downstairs and
Because
upstairs.
it drops off the same way, but there is like, he created almost like a bridge, I wanna say, a bridge, flat area to that. So there is a potential, if you had to do handicap accessibility, to do something similar like that, have the unit on the floor, that bridge would enter.
So number 4 on this would, is not something we're waiting for.
No, so the MPU didn't have comments, the building official just gave me those others, and I don't think I had anything else from the fire marshal on this thing. You
So
have
with-
to meet those codes, obviously.
So with regard to number 5, garbage, I think because of, you saw the front of the building, there are a number of steps. There's a number of steps to get up to the sidewalk and then more steps to get up to the building, so, there will probably be some type of private garbage pickup in the rear. And we will do that probably with a small truck, come in a couple days a week and try to do it that way.
So would you do cans, or would you do like a dumpster container?
Well, I don't, again,
Because it's so narrow, I don't know if
right,
that's.
I don't think that, that's why I said a small truck, like a pickup truck of sort would get back there. I don't know how he does it at 35.
Can we ask him?
Ernest, how does someone pick up garbage at 35?
Well, we don't have anybody there yet since we purchased property. And, but I think I had 2 garbage cans. The neighbor next door, he has garbage cans down in the bottom of on this sidewalk.
Yeah.
He takes them out and puts it back in at night.
Yeah.
Whenever the day is, he takes it from their backyard or from their front yard, they puts it on the street the day, and then when he's picked up the garbage, he puts it back inside.
So what there'll be.
I think that's what we're gonna do too. We have the garbage cans inside the property. When the collective days, we're gonna place it on the sidewalk and then pick it up, put it back inside. I see that's what everybody is doing there.
Well, the only concern is, I would say to that is, we know that when the topography is like this, Ernest, they don't do that. People just leave the garbage cans by the road and they walk their trash down. They're not gonna try to leave a heavy trash can up and down. That's the reality of it. It sounds great what you're saying, but that's not what happens. They keep their garbage can by the road and it becomes
There
lighter.
it is.
And that's not what we want.
So Ernest, what we had talked about and what we're gonna agree is that we're gonna have,
At the
some
parking area.
garbage pickup, some type of garbage pickup in the back, so you can have somebody do both buildings, at the same time.
Yes,
So we'll have some type of private garbage.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, with regard to plantings, I think right now, I think the idea would be get rid of as many as you can and put nothing there except grass. But, if you want to have plantings require something, so be it.
And this was really about like, trying to, make the aesthetic of the road nicer. So, but if you didn't, so we usually talk about putting in plantings, and like you said, it's really overgrowth. If you want to just manage the overgrowth and make sure, something like that it needs to be, they manage the overgrowth in there. Yeah, so that it's,
Yeah, just cut it.
yeah.
Mow the grass.
Just have
Exactly.
grass.
Park and grow.
And then exterior lighting, it will be aesthetically appropriate
Yeah.
and not intrusive to neighbors. It would certainly not be able to shine into any neighbors.
So,
What
so
lighting would that be? Just parking out back or?
Well, they're gonna have,
exterior?
there will have to be some lighting there as well,
Yeah,
again,
entrance.
for
Yeah.
protection, but again, any lighting that
Any
would
light.
be done is not going to shine into any neighbor's property. So if that is something that, you know, typically sometimes, you get approval and then they say, well, subject to, submitting it to the planner for, you know, her approval, that's
Yeah.
fine, perhaps to do that.
So I have a question, and I apologize because I was not around, so I didn't really read any of this. So what are you going to do to the building on the facade?
So
I mean, you can't-
the building itself is going to, it's not gonna be expanded, it's not.
No, I know,
But
yeah.
what he
Yeah.
does, again, that again is something that he'll go to the building department and he'll, yeah, I
So
didn't
is he
get into
going
any of the.
to repair it? Is he going to
I think
put
he's gonna-
vinyl side it or?
No, I think he's gonna just renovate it, hopefully appropriately. I think he's done other buildings in the city that, he's been.
he's got a couple in that, right in that area, the building official said. You purchased a few right in that area, am I correct?
Ernest?
Yes, I
Yeah.
I do own in that block. I own 9-11 Boswell, 15-17 Boswell, 25 Boswell, 35 Boswell, and 41 Boswell.
Yeah.
And if you look at there, 9-11 Boswell was just renovated. 15-17 we did like a couple years ago. On 25 we only done some work inside, so we've made them look really nice. I don't know, I don't have pictures, but
Okay.
so what we're gonna do with the exterior, I don't know if we're gonna just well,
Yeah, so there
yeah,
you go.
yeah,
Can you see it on the screen right now? That's one of yours,
I can
right?
see the screen, and I built that wall, that retaining wall. And so the 9-11 Boswell, it has a new deck and a new, it's all painted and it's all renovated completely. That
You're not looking to put vinyl siding on it or anything like that on this historical?
well, I don't know, I'd like to keep the original and fix it up, whatever is missing, and I'd like to keep the stones that they have, those stones for the roofing.
Yep. The slate.
All the slate, yes, all depends like what's gonna be the cost to keep, but I'd like to keep it as original as it can be, rather than plastic.
You know, cool mansard.
Yeah, it
house,
really,
you know.
I mean, it could be nice.
Yeah, it's multiple.
Yeah, I mean, I give you credit for
Mm-hmm.
taking this on.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the fact that this was a legal boarding house. This is not one of the ones that it was illegal. It was a legal boarding house. And so by purchasing it and in converting it down to 5 2-bedroom apartments is much more consistent with the neighborhood. And, you know, and it really solves it, even though there's a need for for people having shared spaces. This was not quality shared space of people living in that environment. So this is a much better option. And again, they got several variances, I think because of that too, to make it work. So there's the variances, and there were some things like, you know, that they'd have to be today's standards, which they couldn't obviously with some of the landscaping, both requirements and things like that. So recreational space and things. So I'm from a planning standpoint, I would say that this is unique in the fact that we're not going to require of all the years I've been here, we're not going to require a Mylar to be filed on this site plan because we don't have a site plan for it. They asked for the waiver of the site plan. So, you know, so the zoning permit has to be issued, but all of this information will stay in our files, obviously. In the minutes of the meeting will be the records, but there's nothing else to really file on the land records that I could think of.
But the parking lot and the layout of the parking lot,
That was all filed with the variances.
I know, but do we know what it looks like? Do we
There.
have that?
Yeah, so it's gonna be it's laid out, it's on one of the ones, yep,
Oh,
that's it.
okay. I see
So
it.
those
Yep,
were the
yep,
7
yep.
spaces,
Okay, good.
and then they'll have it says a rock wall the entire length, but it's gonna have to be more substantial. It's gonna be a guardrail. And then there'll be some wheel stops or something that to designate 7 spaces.
So they come in from this.
Coming in through this little
Okay,
alleyway
and
here.
then they can just pull back.
Yep,
out and pull-
Yep, that's
okay.
exactly what it is. So, but, so this is very unique
All right.
because we can't file something on the land records without all these specific conditions
Mhm.
being met with red indelible ink and engineer stamp. And we're not going to put them through that on this. So, should you make a decision, well, firstly, you have to make the decision on the waivers. And secondary, if you make this, I would say that these are the stipulations that are in my number 9. But also, the things that we talked about is number items 3 and 4 on this memo, which is about the guardrail. Number 4 was, to meet, obviously, the meet building code stuff. Number 5, the garbage pickup will in the back. Number 6 will to maintain the vegetation, or at least to cut that back. And then the lighting, that gets approved by staff on that. So that's what my recommendations would be. So everything here and those other items I just brought up
Somebody want to make a motion?
for the waivers first.
Waivers.
No, I learned to quit while you're ahead.
I'll volunteer to make a motion.
And it's right here, the waiver for the motion, I can read it again of what those items were for you. It's right here in that packet that I gave you. It's on the
A2.
A2, the bond, the calculation, yeah, it's like the 4th paragraph on the bottom of that.
Just one question about the
Yeah.
bond.
Yep.
So you don't think we need any bond for the parking lot?
They were not gonna pave it, but now if they have to pave it, maybe the decision could be if a bond's required for the, if a handicap space needs to be installed. Then a calculated bond could be calculated by the city engineer or something.
Here's my comment to that, is. this guy's
Okay, yeah,
spending-
don't even say it. I just had a question.
That's
but
okay.
No, no problem.
Okay,
I just would like to see, and it looks like he's gonna do the job.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It looks
He's
like he's
proved
committed to the
himself,
city,
yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
So anyways,
good
it's the
citizen.
Okay.
4th paragraph at the bottom if you want to do waivers.
So I just want to make sure that we all agree and that, because you don't want to have someone else come in and say, I don't want to post a bond, and so we've got to be somewhat consistent, so there's a special circumstance here, I think.
I think that they're really fixing a driveway that's kind of a shared responsibility of everybody. They're gonna keep the gravel driveway. The only thing would be if you needed a bond for the paved parking space, but we don't know if that's, we're not 100% sure if that's required. I'm pretty sure it is. But if that's, maybe that just be instead of a bond, it's a condition of the CO, obviously.
I think that would be the
Okay.
best thing, yeah.
Okay, so is somebody making a motion, Jim?
Oh, I think I'm gonna rescind my offer. No, I'm okay with it. It's, I would make a motion that we, move forward with this and approve this.
Oh, you're gonna go for the waiver.
Waivers.
The waiver is the
Waivers
4th
on that.
paragraph.
Subject to the waivers. Want me to read it?
No, you're only doing a motion for the waivers. You're not doing a motion for the approval. You're only doing a motion for the waiver.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the waivers.
That we waive the following,
Waive the following.
waive these issues.
Waive those issues, item 4,
Yeah, can you read them all?
A2 survey, bond, drainage calculations, the letters from the city engineers, Connecticut DOT for any prior approvals, and the elevation detail.
So we have the motion for the waivers.
Second?
We have a second from Dean. Any discussion? All in favor? Anybody opposed? So the waivers have been granted, and moving on to the application itself. If somebody want to make a motion regarding the application.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the application with the conditions that the staff has made. And I wish this gentleman luck on doing this.
You including the other recommendations that I just read a few minutes ago.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And I wish the gentleman luck. I think he's gonna need it. It's a big project.
Okay, so we have the motion to approve with the conditions as set forth in this memo.
And what I stated. a few
And
minutes ago.
those stated on the record. And do we have a second? Second from Dean. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. All right, so
Thank
that's.
you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, this has been, I think, it's been a long time, but it's been a unique situation. And I will just say that the staff, has been very helpful. So I thank you. And they've done a good job because it's unique to them. This has been a kind of a unique thing. So
Thank
so
you.
hopefully Boswell Avenue will look a little different in a year or so.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. It will look.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I just, while we're on handicap, I'll get you at the end of the meeting. But that really is a strange requirement.
Well, that's a building code.
Building code.
You mean having the parking spaces if the building's not accessible? That's everywhere. So if you go into some place
It's
and
just in
you,
case somebody wants to visit you who's handicapped,
they have a place to park and even though they can't go in.
Said 4 or more?
What?
3. So that's my big question.
Four.
4 or more units?
4 more units?
3. 4 units or more?
Need the handicap space, you
Yeah.
mean?
Or-
No, he's saying the 4 more units need to have handicap, you have handicaps
accessible unit
accessible
inside the
unit.
building.
in the building. The space is regardless, I think, if you're doing new
Separate.
park, new parking
If it's
spaces.
over a certain number of parking spaces.
Yeah,
So it's number.
I got a new pen.
There you go.
all right.
All right, so, any old business?
No,
No extension requests, no
No.
bond reduction request? Does staff have a report to make, or do you want to table that?
Can't shake it.
no, there was something. What did I want to tell them? I did. I want to tell them something. What did I tell you? I told you, Stan, you needed to tell him something. I know Frank has to do Mylars. You're gonna sign those, so
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll send you a message.
Yeah,
We hired a consultant to work on updating the zoning regs.
Yeah,
There
I
was
guess
something
that,
else?
I don't know, but if you weren't at the P O C D meeting, we talked about that we did receive a $4 million grant for the K part to do the first phase of, brownfield remediation. We put another application in for another 10 million,
10.8.
10.8 million for doing the remainder of the buildings and, to demolish and to make it into a park, the whole
Yeah,
design,
That
so.
was CIF. We also did a planning grant for CIF for the Norwich State Hospital.
For our side, to try to do a planning grant to figure out what could be there and be cohesive, what's happening with the Preston side.
I do have a question, Deanna.
We didn't get it yet.
Do we know what's going on with Reading News?
Reading Hughes, they're moving
It's
along.
moving.
I saw them moving for a while, and they seem to be dead there at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're
I haven't seen anybody
just,
over there.
yeah, I think the remediation stuff is, I don't know where that's still happening there, but,
But they're
yeah.
still working.
Mhm.
What's the time frame? They got
Great
quite a bit.
Yeah,
They
I
got
don't
quite a bit of
know.
time, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So that's that, and, honestly, what else is there for staff reports? We're just really, really busy working on a lot of
Main
things.
Street apartments that we read about in the paper the other
The
day.
Main Street apartments have not been CO. What you read in the paper is correct, basically.
What happened with that tenant? I mean, was he just scammed by somebody, or why? was
I
he-
don't know, he obviously got, you read the newspaper just like we did, and we saw the same story, but somehow he had keys to be there, so you don't not pay your rent and somehow magically get keys to get in there, so I don't know.
It just seemed bizarre.
It is, so they're hoping to get it done soon. The trash thing is one of the last, kind of a big issue that we're still dealing with, and we had that conversation. Trash now is like a #1 thing you'll see on all of our discussions, because, it's, in that case, they were gonna be using the space for their crap compactor and moving it in and out, and then they were kind of like, not sure it was gonna work, and all different
We
things.
didn't want 84 barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, that's not happening, and so there's a lot of, pushback and things, but, and then, the state came out to take a look at it for the historic tax credits, and, you know, even though that's not anything to do with you guys, you know, we had a specific expectation, I think, when it was presented to us of how that building was gonna look. Bill Sweeney did the presentation for them, who's no longer their attorney. And that it was going to be historic renovation of that building, tax rehab, you know. And I was thinking, I think all of the expectations was like a Warrigan type of rehab, like really making it look beautiful. And that has not been their priority. Their priority has been the interior of the building and not doing exterior. So that has been very tough because we, you know, we don't have a lot of teeth in that. And so, you know, the state said, no, this will affect them with the historic tax rates, which they're very dependent upon. So they have to do it. I'm just disappointed that that wasn't more of a priority. They didn't replace the windows in there. They, you know, they just, it's just not been at the quality or level, I think, that we
How they
expected.
presented it,
Yes, that was presented to the commission. It was more exciting than. So, you know, that's a little pull in the rug, but we're working with that, so.
Well, what about, what was it? Burger King, whatever happened to that?
So Burger King is gonna be coming up pretty soon. I think their 5 years is gonna be expiring soon, and we'll just probably bring it to you to expire. They were selling all their properties off, and it's kind of done. What Dan did send them recently, I believe, an order for demolition of the buildings because they haven't been completely secured. So I think that, I'm pretty sure that he sent them an order
So what they're
There
gonna,
was a dead body found in one recently.
It was found in the shed.
The shed,
back.
yeah.
So,
is that in the
um,
paper?
I don't know if it was in the
Oh,
paper.
that's terrible.
Was in
yeah, you
my-
didn't know that was like last summer,
No.
wasn't
It
it?
was
Like,
in my ambit. It was only about 4 or 5 months ago.
really? It feels like it was longer than that, doesn't
I
it?
don't think so.
Oh, boy.
In the shed.
Yeah,
I think it's just
Scary.
a homeless
Yeah.
person who was they should.
overdosed or something, but,
Oh,
trying to think what else is there. We are super inundated with everything and involved in so many projects and, you know, things that the council needs us to do, and they, you know, so it's a lot. That's all I can say. It's been a lot lately.
You know, last night we had the
Good thing.
final presentation for the mobility study to the council. So that should be wrapped up in the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and
But
you know.
busy is good.
It is,
Yeah.
but it is really good, but you know, like, and I like working with the COG, but they're always very, wanting to go more grants and more, you know, let's go for this, let's do this study for the Yantic River, and it's wonderful, I wanna say yes to everything, but there's 2 of us, and that means now a lot of our time has to be supported to do that, and Dan was with the Main Street Accelerator Program, and that took a lot of your time to work with NCDC on that program to get a small $5,000 grant to do some signage, but our time, we want to help everybody and want to be involved, but you know how it is, Kathy,
it's too much.
there's too much, and I'm just like, I just want to say to the COG, you want to do it, just, yes, I don't go, you know, like this, because it's just too much there, but they want to meet you all the time and be involved, you know, and it's just being pulled in a lot of directions.
Prioritize and delegate. If there's
But you
anybody
can't-
that's delegating.
can't-
The only person I can do it, yeah.
Flows downhill, right?
I
Side
know,
stops.
it's, you know, Kathy, it's just it's a
Oh,
lot.
It's a lot, there's a lot going on with all the money that has come down,
Yeah,
you know, you have to write the grants, you have to, but then you have to administer them.
yeah, yeah.
And send the reports and it's just.
That's what I'm saying.
too
It's like, and then
much.
if you're involved with the COG, you have to do their stuff too with them and be part of their boards or their facilitated groups and things. It is a lot. It
It's
is
just
a
like,
lot.
you're always, like, for me, I don't know about you, but I'm always at the end of, you know, I've gotta go do this, you know, you don't have the time, so you're always behind. I mean, that's how I am.
Oh, yeah.
Or-
So,
I
but
don't
anyways,
have the time either, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
make a
entertain a motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
what is
Okay,
it,
motion to
9:09?
adjourn. We have a second?
Second that motion.
Second by Jason, this is
She's
not a
gone.
debatable motion, all in favor? Aye.
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 It's gonna
All right,
be
so
Jim,
we're
but I don't- Thank you, Jean.
adjourned at 9:09 PM.